The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
There isn't a whole lot I'm going to go in depth with tonight since it's 2020, and oddly, this will statistically be the third decade I podcast. Yes, I realize that starting in 2009 and then going through all of the 10s into the 20s is basically 12 years, but whatever. This is Short Time Shots, a mostly daily look at the wrestling scores and more from in and around the world of wrestling. I'm Jason Bryant, and in case you're wondering, this will continue to be mostly a weeknight show. Since I need to have some semblance of a life on weekends, I still do the newsletter, but I figure most wrestling fans will have an opportunity to consume what's on the web on the weekend. Or I'll just do it on weekdays when relevant because it's my show. And probably nothing on Friday night because I'm heading down to the Clash. Anyway, thank you for listening again, those of you watching live on Facebook. This is a stitch in time. This may not even be existing by the time you see this. And if you're listening and you didn't see it on Facebook Live, well, you missed out. Minnesota Beer of the Night, and this is one I've been kind of holding out on. It's Castle Danger's Cream Ale. This is a small brewery in Castle Danger, Minnesota, which is a real place, Castle Danger. But now it's grown to the point where it's got its own spot in Two Harbors, which is just north of Duluth. And if you've never been to Duluth, it's cold. This is a beer that if it's on draft where you're at when you come here for the NCAA championships, you buy it. This is a beer that if it's on draft at the bar across the street, I buy it. It's really everything I want in a beer. Not heavy, not hoppy, just smooth, crushable, and awesome. I'll be honest, it's almost always in my fridge. New patron, Mike Conley, a guy I've known for a long time since his wrestling days at York High School in Virginia. York's got a cool history as a high school. Yorktown itself is one of those places where history buffs can spend days on end and still not discover all the world-changing events that happened there. Thanks, Mike, for your support. And that's the only love I'm going to give you to your Falcons. Well, other than the one time I did pick Jason Dye to win the state title. Speaking of Jason's, Jason Fulmore jumped on. He's the guy behind SoutheastWrestling.com. He's trying to start something down there in the South when it comes to wrestling. I'd encourage you to give it a look. In the news, we've got the Southern Scuffle, where Oklahoma State edged NC State 116-109 to win the Southern Scuffle in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That kicked off the new year just right. Stanford was third. Oklahoma State just had one champ, Nick Piccinini at 125, while NC State crowned Hayden Hindley as the champ at 157. Stanford had three champs, the most of any team, with titles coming from Real Woods at 141, unattached Jade Navis at 149, and Shane Griffith at 165. Other titles were Sammy Alvarez of Rutgers at 133, Penn State's unattached true freshman Carter Staraki at 174, Lou Dupre of Binghamton at 184, West Virginia's Noah Adams at 197, and Iowa State's Gannon Gremmel at 285. Dupre avenged an early season loss. Yeah, words functionally not working all the time. Dupre did avenge an early season loss to NC State's Trent Hidley 3-2. OW went to Adams, who pinned Stanford's Nathan Traxler in the finals. In the finals! Thank you, Cliff Britwell, for that one. Full results are at Flow Arena. Light night in duels, but Fresno State hosted Cal Poly in Utah Valley to kick off the new year at the Save Mart Center. In the opening duel, Fresno State won 6 of 10 bouts, with a fall coming from Brendan Martino at 174 to beat the visiting Mustangs 24-16. While Cal Poly had a chance going into the final match, Jacob Wright's 7-6 decision at 157 closed out the win for the Bulldogs. Fresno State rallied from a 19-12 deficit to win the last two matches to beat Utah Valley 24-19. Big match came there as Utah Valley's Tate Orndorff knocked off Josh Hoke at 3-1 at heavyweight. Yeah, 285 heavyweight redundancy. Greg Gaxiola was leading 6-1 in the second period when he earned an injury default win over Brig Hoops. That set the stage for the final bout, where Wright again got the heroics, getting up big on Jerry Rubio and finishing off the duel with a fall with 40 seconds to go to make the final score 24-19. In Division II, Augustana, the one in South Dakota, upended number 23 Western Colorado 24-12 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And Western Colorado, you might know it as Western State. You might have known it as Western State, Colorado. Anyway, the Vikings won 5 of the last 6 matches to close things out. Notables on the docket: Long Island University will head through Pennsylvania to take on Bloomsburg, while number 5 Virginia Tech will head to Mount Pleasant, Michigan to take on number 24 Central Michigan. And when I mean on the docket, that means on Friday. In the NAIA, Menlo will host the Menlo duels with Arizona Christian, Northwestern, the one of Iowa, and Simpson, the one in California. The heavy stuff will be coming down for an hour or so, and that's Saturday if you're wondering. From the Daily Wrestling News, the Matt.com released its top 10 stories of 2019, and they mean by analytics, not the actual best stories of the year. Analytics. Yay. Math. Matt.com has also gone to the Ruskies. Okay, partially kidding, but Fedor Pavlov, a Russian journalist, rates the strongest freestyle wrestlers of 2019. That's a pretty interesting read. The other Roger Moore recaps the Southern Scuffle for the Matt.com with a good old gamer. Also, no word on whether or not JD Rader actually got to go to the bathroom on Wednesday. Track Wrestling's Clay Sauerteig, one of the most personally prolific Twitter follows in the history of the universe, gives us a high school update from the break, focusing on Wyoming Seminary and its victory at the Powerade in Western Pennsylvania. The Alan Josh Show, a podcast here in Minnesota, focusing on a number of areas of the state's wrestling scene, previews The Clash, which kicks off on Friday down in Rochester, Minnesota. I solely listen because they constantly give me shout-outs. Sadly, they also give shout-outs to Mac Ryder, which is one reason you should probably not listen, but listen for me, but not for Mac. Samantha Scoville of NCAA.com wrote a piece a couple days ago on the top freshmen in NCAA Division I right now. I didn't do a shots that day, but I will link it back up in the show notes for this episode. That was a cool read. Matt Dernlin and Ben Askren are back with the Rudis podcast talking about the Midlands. We've got some news for us coming about that show as well. That's later on whenever. Check out the video feature from iWrestle.com on Keegan Shaw. They define him as a very unique fellow. This was worth the 7 or 8 minutes the video was. Seriously, check it out. 5pointmove.com named D'Angelo Hancock and Max Nowry its Athletes of the Year. No, I do not need a descriptor because it's Greco-Roman, it's 5 Point Move. You know that. It's a Greco site. On the network, just the show. That's all we got. Should be noted that I pushed out 448 podcast episodes in 2019. How many hours of content was provided by my shows and our friends on the network? Math. So, I did the math. The network pushed out just north of 273 hours of audio content. It would take you 34 days, listening 8 hours a day to finish, or just one bowl of colon blow. Not on the network, but social media donk Darren Ravel blocked me on Twitter today. Surprised it took him this long. Who's Darren Ravel? No one, really. You can get those stories and more from Matt Talk Online's daily wrestling newsletter. Sign up for free at matttalkonline.com/news and get the day's top wrestling stories from around the world delivered to your inbox for free pretty much every single morning. I realized I took a couple days off from the Midlands because I was announcing. Anyway, that daily newsletter is sponsored by Resolite. If you'd like to support the show and all the on-demand audio offerings, like Lauren, my friend who's watching on Facebook Live, free newsletters, historical research, you can support this program and the network by making a small monthly contribution or one-time donation by going to matttalkonline.com/join the team. Venmo, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee are all accepted. But here's the perk with that monthly Patreon contribution. You get those cool perks like the Matt Talk Online branded shirts, glasses, hats, the sport's best digital preview guides, shout-outs on the show, even a guest spot, or pitch your show idea or interview suggestion for a future episode of Short Time. The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by my man Cliff Fratwell at Compound Sportswear. He's always in the finals. And remember, folks, you've always got time for short time. Wow, I screwed up my own tagline. Let's try that again. Take two. Beep. You've always got time for short time.